Here with,
My name's Shaun.
and you are from?
The band Repentance this year.
Okay. Now Repentance just has a brand new EP out. Tell me about the new songs and what are the songs about and how did they come about?
Well, I put out the first album on a label called Art is War, and the album was called God for a Day. And then after the album came out, we got hit with a pandemic the whole world can relate to, and started working on new material and had to do some changing and start writing the new EP and got on a new label called Noble Demon, based out of Germany, and it's been really killer. Label is really strong, upstart metal label, and we've been, I just went into writing mode once everything kind of got locked down after God for a Day. I just wanted to start writing material, and I knew that Noble Demon wanted to do the next release after the debut, and just started working on material. So I just went right in the studio and just started writing, and the band couldn't play out, was going through a lineup changes, and I just, kind of threw my head into working on new material. What else do you do when you can't play shows? Work on songs,
Mm-hmm. Now the EP has been out for what, week, 2 weeks maybe?
Yeah.
What kind of a feedback are you getting?
Really cool. It's awesome. I think it's very flattering, the comments, and everyone's telling us what their favorite songs are, and we're really ecstatic, with having Reborn as the launch pad and the first song, and also having Corey from Trivium on the song, who's a good friend of mine, and it was really killer that he wanted to be part of it. When I told him that the new music's almost done, and there's a couple spots I thought that would be really good to have a great friend and a guest on it, and I love Trivium and I love Corey, and it was great to have Corey on the first launch with Reborn.
Mm-hmm. The EP is called Reborn, and there's definitely a good reason for that, right? Can you tell me how you kind of rebuilt the band?
Basically what happened was, I wanted to get people that were more serious and understood the style of music that the band was playing and going for, and I wanted to make sure that people were into it for the right reasons and not just looking at it for advantages for themselves, but being into it as a band, and being around people that really understood this style of music and understood what it takes to be in a little more of a serious band than just a band that jams every few months, or we're not a cover band.
Now, regardless of who really is in the band, it appears that Repentance definitely sounds, like the same band, because I listened to the new EP, I can barely tell that there's a brand new lineup behind it.
Yeah. I think there's one, the most obvious one is definitely Adam, to me. And it seems like fans that dug the first record, it seems like more fans are digging the new one, and just from the general feedback, it seems like the new material with Adam is really, hey, Adam, he's right here, say hi.
Hello.
Speak of the devil. Actually, you can answer this next question. So, Adam, I'm going to ask you what Mark's going to ask you. What are the songs, or what do you feel the songs on the new EP are about? Where would you say they're from?
What do you mean, like, where are they from?
What are they about?
They're not all about the same thing. There's no theme to the whole EP. It's just kind of like each song has its own certain thing. Like Down in the Waters is more, for substance abuse and how it's affecting people. Then you got Hell and Misery, which a lot of people are like, oh, I feel like that's more of what's going on today. And you're like, that's absolutely it. But it's just the day-to-day of the bullshit that's going on around me that I see. That's kind of what I wrote those about. This is Hell. Yeah, this is Hell. Misery. What other one? Reborn. A fresh start. This is kind of like a fresh start to something.
Starting over,
yeah.
But believing in yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not letting people put you down.
Shaun, since you are the longest running member of this band,
right.
What would you say is your vision for Repentance?
Just writing killer music, getting more and more people into the band, and grabbing new audiences every time we do shows, and hopefully the world will get back to normal and we can finally get on the road and rock and roll and do what bands do. Right now everything's kind of on pause. We're in a weird world right now, and just gotta wait it out and get back to letting the metal flow.
I know somebody who said that before.
Yeah.
You're currently doing local shows. Is there any chance for a tour?
Yeah, definitely next year. We're going to start working on some more new material, but focus on the EP and getting on the road, and then maybe next year getting the full album ready. So it's just, I feel that like from the debut and the new EP, there's enough material for Repentance out there that people can gravitate to and get familiar with the band's style and sound off those two releases. So shows are the focus for now. But we already started working on some new material, and we actually finished a song already. We were all like, wow.
Which kind of brings me to our next question. Why an EP and not another full length?
My honest opinion is I don't think people want albums. I don't think people have the attention span for a full-length album anymore. And I feel that an EP, if all 5 songs are killer, you know, it's not like a 14-song Soundgarden album where there's like 5 good songs and 4 whatever, you know, like I think that the key is less is more. And you know, I mean, I hate to say it, and I always look as a good reference to Slayer, like their best album, one of the best thrash metal albums I ever made, is 28 minutes long. Like,
and that's all you need?
And if 28 minutes long kicks your fucking ass, then like that's what matters, right? Mm-hmm. I'd rather have 28 minutes that just kicks my ass than 45 minutes of like, I like 5 or 6 songs, you know. Whereas I felt that when we wrote the new material, I felt every song was up to par, mm-hmm. and there was no need to keep going. Like, there was other songs in the mix, in the writing stages, but I'm like, let's hold on to them for later on, and let's focus on these 5 and make them the best. And then once Adam came in the band and went in the studio and we started working on the vocals, Alex, the producer, and I were in the studio working on the vocals. We're like, yeah, these songs are strong enough as the 5 body of work, you know.
How is the EP available now? Because I noticed there's not a physical release yet.
Vinyl is coming, yeah.
Okay. So
Noble Demon's making vinyl. Just right now, we couldn't coincide the vinyl release with the digital release because there's such a demand for vinyl. All the manufacturing plants are so backed up. And everyone has like a joke that it's all Adele's fault, but I don't think it's Adele's fault. But I heard she ordered a ton of vinyl, and a lot of the European manufacturing plants are majorly backed up because there's such a huge demand for vinyl, which is awesome, you know. I mean, I guess it's kind of cool to see that people for physical would rather have, you know, some wax. So.
Wow, back to square one, right?
Yeah, right. Everything goes full circle, man.
Yeah. Now, Shaun, you are involved in a lot of legendary bands such as Terminal Death, Syndrome, Broken Hope,
Legendary.
The Bloodline. How would you describe your musical evolvement into what is Repentance now from all of those bands?
I mean, like, for me, like, I really love groove. You know, like that's the key for me. Even like, you know, in Soil, mm-hmm. Like. One of the most known song is Halo, and when I co-wrote it with the band, like I wanted to make sure it had the groove, you know, like it has that stompy groove, and that's something like it's just my style, you know, what I'm into, you know, like Pantera and whatever, like groove is what I'm into, but hooks and melody too, like it's key for me to have catchy songs with groove and melody. It's kind of what I'm into, and I hope for the most part, all the bands in my past into my present showcase that, you know, because that's what I'm into, you know. I want to have hooks. Like, it's cool for me to listen to some bands that are just like, you know, 9-minute songs and like 0 hooks and just riff city, you know, it's a maze of riffs. But for me, it's like I'd rather focus on like something that just grabs you instantly by the throat and it's just catchy. Like you walk out of the gig and remember that song, and I think that's really important for the listener. You know, not everybody in the audience is a musician. Like, you know, I'm not, you know, John Petrucci or, you know, even at that level of a musician, but like, for me, I think that when I see the audience relating to the songs and the hook and the groove and singing back, like, that, then I feel that I've achieved something as a musician and as a songwriter, because that's really more of what I'm focused on, you know.
Now, 2 of your bands from the distant past released some archival music, Terminal Death and Syndrome, after many years of not really being available. I mean, those were things people would trade on cassettes. Yeah. So once those releases became available, how did they do after so many years?
It's really cool. I mean, Terminal Death's pretty underground, and it's a pretty obscure band.
Very much so.
I was a little kid. I mean, I was in high school when we started that band, and it was pretty cool that people actually liked that 5-song demo, and I'm proud of it, you know. Do I think it's like the best thing I've ever done? No, but I was a child, you know, to be honest. I was a teenager when that demo came out, and it was, you know, it was OG, it was original, but I think Syndrome was a huge advance, and, you know, Troy vocally influenced a lot of metal singers. He obviously influenced Barney, he influenced David Vincent, and I know all those guys were huge fans of Syndrome when the End of the Halls of Extermination came out, you know, and it's cool to be a part of it. I mean, I was just a bass player then, you know, and Syndrome's a whole other story, but, you know, there's obviously the two versions, the two lineups from Halls and Vault after Chris left from Halls, you know.
And speaking of that, you just mentioned something. When did you actually switch from being a bass player to a guitar player, or a guitar player to begin with?
When I was in Broken Hope playing bass after Loathing album, during that whole time I was a bassist. I played guitar at home and wrote riffs and always was writing songs, but I wanted to change to guitar to be full-time, because like I knew that as a songwriter I couldn't really express myself on a bass to show everybody like riffs. Basically, like there's a huge difference when you go ba-da on a bass and then you have a guitar with amp and tone and you're gong 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 gong. You know, if you're like, all right, that's a cool riff. So you kind of win, you know, what you're trying to achieve with a guitar versus a bass. And I love bass and it's fun to play, but right around 97, 98, when I was leaving Broken Hope after Loathing, I was so focused on guitar that when we started Soil, I really wanted to play guitar, and the other guys in the band were really supportive of that. They were like, dude, you should play guitar. Don't play bass. You don't need to play bass. And the other dude that wanted to play bass in Soil ended up playing bass. So it made it easier for me because I didn't have to play bass.
Very good.
Yeah.
Now, do you find that the fans of the bands I mentioned before that you were in are still following your career and your progress?
I'd say to a certain extent. I mean, I think it's weird because people that listen to those two bands especially are more into obscure, old school underground metal. But I feel that with this band, it's a little more modern. It's not raw, and it's, you know, it's, to me, it's got some retro. I know what influenced me. I can say, oh, there's my Exodus or Korn or riff, and I know where they lie in the fucking DNA of the Repentance. But, you know, to some people that are just more into like raw, old school thrash death metal, you know, they may be, you know, think it's a little more polished or produced. But if I think if that listener really, you know, stuck their nose into it, they'd hear what I feel is, you know, in the mix.
Now, being in a band is never easy, right? I like to keep on laughing.
That's an understatement.
I know. If you were to narrow it down, what is the biggest challenge a band like Repentance might be facing?
Dedication and commitment. I think dedication and commitment are very important for bands. Everyone, you know, getting along and being proud of each other's hard work and not getting jealous or insecure over stupid stuff, you know, and everyone being on the same page and being serious and, you know, being into this, you know, this style of music. I mean, it's like if you're gonna play in a band, whatever style it is, you should be into it because that's the style of music you like. You shouldn't play music and just be in a band if you're not into that style. Like, I don't understand people that like, yeah, I play on the weekends in a Bon Jovi band, but I'm gonna all of a sudden show up and want to play in your Carcass band, right? I don't get that. Like, yo, which side of the road are you on, you know? And I'm not saying that people shouldn't, you know, have, you know, open mind towards other genres and different styles of music, you know. But for me, it's like, if you play in a metal band, you should listen to metal, not be like, yeah, I hate metal, I'm more into just jazz. Like, you know, then why are you in a band that sounds like, you know, Deicide? So.
There you go, good point. Finally, what will 2022 bring for Repentance?
Shows, more shows, and some new songs eventually. But yeah, hopefully things chill out next year and the road opens up, you know. So I don't know. Right now everything's still kind of wacky, but we will see when we get there, right? So right now it's, yeah, I want to do gigs because obviously this, you know, after the lockdowns and me going through a cleansing of repentance, I want to do some shows and have fun again, you know. It's really what it's about at the end of the day. I mean, I love music and I love creating, But I want Repentance to do shows, you know.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Cool. Right on. Thanks for having me on. Metal up your ass. Death to false metal.